a new series of video this year. In the last year you have seen my so many videos which were so meaningful, so knowledgeable and very informative as per your requirement. And all credit goes to you, dear student, who motivated me and who compelled me and forced me to make some more videos with some innovative and some different way, so that you can understand, so that you can grasp the meaning, theme, character, subject matter easily. And one more thing that I am going to apply this year, that I will make my videos lecture wise. Before talking about anything, what exactly we are going to talk today, see. The last lesson. Yes, the title of this lesson is The Last Lesson, written by ALPHONSE DAUDET. And this is a story about a small student France and a teacher, Mr. Hamel, and he was a French teacher. Small student in France was very much ignorant about his study, and he didn't know even a single word of his own language. And as far as concerned about Mr. Hamel, who was a French teacher, was very much dedicated and very loyal to his service and his country. And at that time, one very interesting thing happened, that German won the French territory, and now they want to introduce their own language. Actually, they want to impose their language on them. That was a very interesting thing here. You have to see and you have to find that what kind of effect it had on the life of school and the school student. See the first page of this lesson, The Last Lesson, written by ALPHONSE DAUDET. ALPHONSE was basically a French novelist and a short story writer. The Last Lesson is set in the days of the Franco-Prussian War in 1870-1871, in which France was defeated by Prussia, led by Bismarck. And after reading this story, you will find out that how, the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine have passed into Prussian hands. And you will find out what effect this had on life at. I started for school very late that morning and was in great dread of scoring, especially because Mr. Hamel had said that he would question us on participles, and I did not know the first word about them. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of the door. It was so warm, so bright, the birds were chirping at the edge of the woods and the open field back of the sawmill. The Prussian soldiers were drilling. It was all much more tempting than the rule for participles. But I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. And what is here in this first paragraph? See, Franz was late for the school that morning. And at the same time, he was very much afraid or very much scared of Mr. Hamel, because Mr. Hamel ने उनको participle learn करने के लिए दिया. And he had said that कि question वो पूछने वाला है इसके ऊपर. But tragedy was that he didn't know the first word of it. Right? For a moment, he was thinking that I should stay away from the school, away from the door. मुझे बाहर जाना चाहिए, and that will be good. Why? Because see, it was so warm. बड़ा ही अच्छा मौसम है. Birds were chirping at the edge of the woods. Woods here means the jungle के इन किनारों पर, पक्षी चहचहा रहे that were very much tempting. And in the open field back of the sawmill, see, Prussian soldier drilling कर रहे थे. These were things which were so much tempting than the rule for participle. But इसके बावजूद भी उसमें इतनी strength थी, इतनी power थी कि वो इसका विरोध कर सके, and hurried off to school, और जल्दी से स्कूल की ओर चला जाता है. And the next one is here. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all our news had come from there. The lost battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer, and the thought to myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? Then, as I hurried by as fast as I could go, the blacksmith Bactor, who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin, called after me, "Don't go so fast, Bob. You will get to your school in plenty of time." It means here, जब वो अपने टाउन हॉल के पास से गुजर रहा था, he saw many people in front of the bulletin board, because this is the bulletin board where he has seen all those good and bad news, like lost battles की news वहाँ से आई, drafts, commanding officers के जितने orders थे वहाँ से आए, everything. So without stopping, he was thinking from himself, अपने आप से ही सोच रहा था कि what can be the news now, अब क्या news हो सकती है. And in the meantime, he saw that blacksmith Bactor also was there in front of the bulletin board. वो भी उसी चीज़ को पढ़ रहा था वहाँ पे। और जब वहाँ से दौड़ता हुआ लिटिल फ्रेंच जाता है तो उसके पीछे से बोलता है कि इतने तेज जाने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, आपके स्कूल पहुँचने के लिए भी काफ़ी समय है, यू हैव प्लेंटी ऑफ टाइम टू रीच स्कूल। सो द नेक्स्ट वन इज, आई थॉट ही वॉज मेकिंग फन ऑफ मी एंड रीच्ड Mr. Hamel's little garden all out of breath. For a moment, he was thinking that the Mr. Baxter is making fun of me. Okay, बीवी हाँफता हुआ मिस्टर हैमल्स के छोटे गार्डन की तक पहुंच जाता है. Next very interesting paragraph is, usually when school began there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street. The opening and closing of desks, lesson repeated in unison, very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. But now it was all so still. I had counted on the commotions to get to my desk without being seen, but of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their place, and Mr. Hamill walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. This is really very interesting. He said that usually जब स्कूल शुरू होता है तो वहाँ पे बहुत ग्रेट बसल हसल शोर होता है, एंड दैट कैड बी हाउ स्ट्रीट में बाहर सुना जा सकता है. ओपनिंग और क्लोजिंग जो डेस्क होती है उसकी आवाज़ सुनी जा सकती है. रिपीटेड इन यूनिजन्स लेसन जो इकट्ठे मिलकर जब उसका उच्चारण करते हैं उसकी आवाज़ है वेरी लाउड विद आवर हैंड्स. दैट इज़ द सिचुएशन व्हेन वी पुट आवर हैंड इन आवर ईयर जस्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड थिंग्स बेटर, है ना, वट एवर वी रेड. एंड जो हम उस वक्त पढ़ रहे होते हैं उसको अच्छी तरह से समझने के लिए हम अपने कानों पर हाथ लगाते हैं, तो जोर जोर से चिल्लाना या फिर उसको पढ़ना शुरू करते हैं तो उसकी आवाज़ें बाहर तक सुनाई देती थी. एंड द टीचर्स ग्रेट रूलर रैपिंग ऑन द टेबल के ऊपर जोर से मारते उसकी आवाज़ सुनी जा सकती. बट नाउ हियर यू कैन सी दैट हाउ एवरीथिंग वाज क्वाइट स्टिल like that of Sunday morning. So the window I saw my classmate. क्योंकि विंडो में से मैंने अपने क्लासमेट को देखा. They were already there in their place. Mr. Hamill was walking up and down with his terrible, जो खतरनाक, जो भयंकर उसका आयरन का जो रूलर है, अपनी बाजू के नीचे लिए इधर उधर घूम रहे थे. I had to open the door, कि मुझे स्वयं दरवाजा खोलना पड़ा है, एंड इन फ्रंट ऑफ सभी के सामने अंदर जाना पड़ा. एंड यू कैन इमेजिन हाउ आई ब्लश्ड, कि मुझे कितनी शर्म आई होगी एंड कितना मुझे डर लगा होगा. हाउ फ्राइटन आई. When I reached school, I was so scared, I was so afraid of, because I had to go in front of everybody. But nothing happened. Mr. Hamill saw and said very gently and very kindly, little friends, हम तुम्हारे बिना ही शुरू करने वाले थे, जल्दी से अपनी जगह पे चले जाओ. With that I jump over the bench and अपने डेस्क पे बैठ जाता हूँ. And little later, कि मैं थोड़ा सा अपने डर पे काबू पाता, तो मैंने देखा कि हमारे जो टीचर्स मिस्टर हैमल है उन्होंने अपना सुंदर जो कोट है, फ्रिल शर्ट है, ब्लैक सिल्क की कैप है वो पहनी हुई है, ऑल एम्ब्रॉयडर, एम्ब्रॉयडर, जिसको वो बड़ी मुश्किल से इंस्पेक्शंस के दिनों पे या फिर प्राइज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के दिन ही पहना करते थे. एंड बिसाइड, इसके अतिरिक्त पूरा जो स्कूल है वो बहुत ही विचित्र, बड़ा ही गंभीर लग रहा था. बट द थिंग दैट सरप्राइज्ड मी मोस्ट वाज, सी, ऑन द बैक बेंचेस जो अक्सर खाली रहा करती थी, आज वो भरी हुई थी. वहाँ पर गांव के कुछ लोग आए थे, ओल्ड हाउस था, फॉर्मर में पहले जो मेयर थे, पोस्ट मास्टर्स थे, वो सभी वहाँ पर बैठे हुए थे. दैट वाज सो मच सरप्राइजिंग एंड ऑल वर वेरी सैड. एंड ओल्ड हाउसर ने तो अपनी पुरानी पुस्तिका तक को लाया हुआ था, एंड ऑन हिज नी, राइट, with his great spectacle lying across the page, कि अपने उसने घुटनों के ऊपर खोल के रखा हुआ था और उसके ऊपर अपना चश्मा रखा है साथ में. While I was wondering about it all, जब मैं इन चीज़ों के बारे में सोच रहा था, Mr. Hamill mounted. He stood up from the chair and in the same grave, वही जो मुद्रा होती थी उनकी, gentle tone which he had used to me, जो अक्सर मेरे लिए वो यूज करते थे. My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. अल्सांस और लॉरेन के स्कूल में सिर्फ अब जर्मन भाषा पढ़ाई जाएगी. किसके स्थान पर? इन प्लेस ऑफ फ्रेंच. द न्यू मास्टर कम्स टुमारो, आने वाले हैं, एंड दिस is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive. That's it. That was the first lecture here. I hope you understood all about today's lectures. In this lecture, you came to know that how little Franz was very much late for the school and how he was very ignorant about his study and how Mr. Hamel was very strict teacher and everyone's scared of his scolding and how Mr. Hamel has asked them to learn rules on participle, but Mr. Franz didn't know even a single word of these participle. He wanted to stay out of door. He wanted to stay away from the school. He wanted to see the chirping bird at the edge of the woods, and he wanted to see the drilling of the Russian soldier, which was so much tempting than the rules on participle. But he had the strength to resist all these temptation, and he hurried off to the school. How he saw people in front of the bulletin board and how the bad news has come from the Berlin to introduce the new language. Usually when school begin, hustle and bustle and the loud noise can be heard out in the street. But today, there was dead silence. It appears like that of Sunday morning. I was surprised to see all these things. I had to go in front of everybody in my classroom. Not only that, but also Mr. Hamel didn't say even a single word in form of scolding. Very lovingly he said that, "Oh, little Franz, you are late. Come and take your seat. We were likely to start without you." Franz was very surprised and shocked to see all these things, and he observed that he had put on his best cloth, which he usually put on special days like Inspections Day and his Celebrations Day. Okay, and then suddenly he stood up from his chair. At that time he appeared so tall, very grave, very profound, and then he said that, "Dear student, this is your last lesson which I will give you. So I wanted you to be very attentive." And that was a big thunderclap. That was in today's lesson. And now you will see there are some small questions that you must know. See. There are so many short questions in this lectures, like who was late for the school that morning. It was Franz. And the second one is, so why did children feel scared of and dread of Mr. Hamel? Because Mr. Hamel had given them rules and participle for learning, and he was likely to ask the question, but they didn't know even the single word of it. And that's why. What was much more tempting than the rules for participles? Yes, the weather was pleasant, Russian soldiers were drilling and spending day out of the door, and have fun with the words at the edge of the jungle are these some tempting thing. What was at the bulletin board? Answer of this question will be C. When he was going to school and when he passed from the town hall, he saw that there are so many people in front of the bulletin board, and they were reading some, news over there. For the last 2 years, all their bad news had come from there: the lost battle, the draft, and the orders of the commanding officer. And without stopping, he was thinking that what can be the news now? This time, it had so bad news because German want to introduce their language in place of French language, and new teachers was likely to come next day. What did Franz notice in the school that day which was unusual? See, usually when school began, there was a great hustle and bustle. बहुत सारा शोर हुआ करता था, and noise could be heard out in the street, opening and closing of the desk, lessons repeated in unison, and great ruler rapping on the table, and so many other noise there. But today it was like that of Sunday morning. Sunday morning की तरह था. Every classmates were already in their seat. Not only that, but also one more surprising thing was that the villagers were there at the back benches, which usually remains empty. Why Franz was surprised to see his teacher? He was so much surprised to see Mr. Hamel because he didn't scold him. He very gently and very kindly said that, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz, we were beginning without you." And one more thing that was surprising, that he has put on his Sunday cloth, beautiful cloth, which he rarely put on Inspections Day and Prize Distributions Day. Why did Mr. Hamel wanted everyone to be very attentive? Answer of this question will be, this was his last French lesson which he was going to deliver. That's why he wanted everyone to be very attentive. These were some short questions. So see you soon in the next lecture.